Hello everyone, my name is Jamin. Thanks so much for visiting my channel. In this video, I have a Lenovo ThinkPad T15. I'm going to take you on a teardown or disassembly tour, show you how to get inside, and many of the various components you can access once you're in. So first thing, power down your computer the correct way, make sure it's off, and unplug from your charger. We're then going to flip your computer over to access the bottom case screws. Now after taking out the 8 screws in the bottom case, make sure to remove your SIM card in the rear as well. If you don't, you risk breaking it when you start prying off your bottom case. After that, you're going to take a small, flat, plastic pry tool and you're going to go around the seam of your computer, prying the bottom case off from the palm rest. It's generally best to start out back near one of the 2 hinge assemblies, work your way in one direction, and if you get stuck, leave it, go to the other side, and continue in the other direction. Don't put your pry tool too far in, you could damage internal components. Just keep it on the edge, go nice and slow, careful but firm, and you'll be able to get that bottom case off. After you do, this is what you're looking at for the inside of your computer. Now, as a general computer repair side note, whenever I'm working on a computer in my shop, it's sitting on an anti-static mat. Either that or an anti-static bracelet are great ideas to avoid damaging things in your computer when you're working on it. If you would like any help with tools or supplies for your computer projects, as well as all of the replacement and upgrade parts for this specific model computer, the T15, I will have a link above, also below in the description. It'll be a list of all the tools and supplies that I use in my shop, along with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this specific model computer, the T15. Now, before touching anything in a computer, I make sure that the battery is either removed or at least unplugged. A computer is safest to work on when as little power as possible is running through it. The battery is right here near the bottom of my screen. This battery is a 57 watt-hour battery, 11.52 volts, and the main Lenovo part number is L18M3P71. I will have all that information below in the description if needed, but I will also include a battery replacement option in that link I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. The battery is held in by 3 screws, and it plugs into the motherboard right here near the green arrow. Now, as a general rule with cables and wires in a laptop, try to avoid pulling on them if at all possible when unplugging it. Try just to manipulate the plug itself. However, with this battery, as you can tell, the cables are so short that it was actually kind of difficult to pull it out without putting some pressure on the wires. But do your best, try to wiggle it out, and there's a little black pull tab here that you can grab and pull to the left, and that can help you get it out too, so you don't have to put all the pressure on those wires. And I guess the last thing to mention about this kind of an operation, if you're here because your computer is not turning on, your battery could be bad and it may need to be replaced, but keep in mind that most laptops will still turn on and function with a bad battery as long as the charger's plugged in. So if your computer is not turning on, there may be something else wrong with it other than just a bad battery. There will be a video link above. Also below in the description, it will be a tutorial in how to troubleshoot a laptop to find out why it's not turning on and how you can fix it. You have a single RAM slot right here under this black flap. You peel that back and that will expose a single RAM port there. This computer takes DDR4 RAM, 2666 megahertz. The max RAM for this computer, there's 2 different max RAM values depending on what model you have. Some of you will have 8 gigabytes of RAM integrated into your motherboard already. Some of you will have 16 gigabytes of RAM. So for those of you that have 8 gigabytes of RAM, your max RAM value for this computer is 40 gigabytes, which means the maximum RAM stick you can put here is a 32 gigabyte stick. Those of you who have the 16 gigabytes of integrated RAM into your motherboard, your maximum RAM value for this computer is 48 gigabytes. So that would still mean that you could put a max 32 gigabyte stick in this port. I will have all the RAM information below in the description, but I will also include several different options below in the description in that link I told you about with all of the replacement and upgrade parts for this computer. I will include an 8 gigabyte stick for those of you that want a slight upgrade. I will include a 16 gigabyte stick if you want a moderate upgrade, and I will include the full 32 gigabyte stick if you want to max out your RAM for the computer. The way that RAM works is there's two spring-loaded metal arms on either side. To get RAM out, you would gently pry those arms apart from each other, away from the RAM stick. The RAM stick will then release. It'll oftentimes pop up a little bit, and then you can pull it out of the port. If you'll notice in your RAM or the port, there's a long section to it and a short section. So to get the RAM into the port, you can't put it in upside down. You don't have to worry about that. It'll only go in the right way. And once you get it in and straight, make sure that that gold section is nice and straight and flat. You just press down in the center of the RAM. These arms will latch onto it and hold it in place. And I guess the last thing to mention about a RAM upgrade like this, if you are trying to increase your computer's performance, increase its speed, upgrading RAM is a great way to do that, but also consider upgrading your storage device as well. You have a single storage port right here. It's an M.2 PCIe NVMe port right there. This computer will accept up to Gen 3 speeds in solid-state drives. Below in the description, in that list I told you about with all of the replacement and upgrade parts, I will have several options for you for these solid-state drives. I will have a 500 gigabyte solid-state drive, a terabyte, and a 2 terabyte if you guys are looking to upgrade. Also, if you're interested in learning a little more about storage devices, how hard drives and various kinds of solid-state drives are different, there will be a video link below in the description. It'll be kind of an introductory tutorial so you can learn a little more about these different storage devices. The way it works is you undo this single screw right here, and then you can pull it out of this port right there. Now, most of you will have a thermal pad underneath this to help with heat transfer. Make sure that stays down. You don't want to accidentally pull that up thinking you don't need it. And I guess the last thing to mention about this kind of operation, if you are installing a new drive into your computer, you may need to install an operating system onto it afterwards. If you would like any help with that, I will have two video tutorial links below in the description. One will show you how to install Windows 10 onto a Lenovo. The other will show you how to install Windows 11. Here's your CMOS battery right here, wrapped in yellow electrical tape toward the right of my screen. For those of you here to replace this battery, this is held down by double-sided tape, so you can easily just pop that right off, and it plugs into the motherboard right here. I will have a replacement CMOS battery compatible with this computer below in the description in that link I mentioned, with all of the tools and replacement parts for this model computer. For those of you here to reset your BIOS system, you don't need to physically remove the battery. You can leave it there. You would just need to unplug it for maybe 15-20 seconds, and that should be sufficient to reset BIOS. As a reminder, don't pull on the wire. Just use your fingernails or a pry tool or a pair of pliers to pull that out of the plug. As a side note with this operation, in most cases, this will only reset your BIOS system settings and not your BIOS password. For more information on BIOS password resets, check out below in the description. And the final thing to mention in this video about this operation, resetting BIOS this way is a common troubleshooting step if your computer is not turning on. If you would like the full troubleshooting video on how to find out why your laptop is not turning on, I will have that link below in the description. It'll take you through the whole troubleshooting process so you can find out why your computer is not turning on and how to fix it. In this model computer, you have a single speaker bar right up here toward the top of my screen, this long, skinny black bar. That's your speakers. And it plugs into the motherboard right here. Now, speaker wires are extremely fragile. Definitely do not pull on these. Use your fingernails or a pry tool or a pair of pliers to unplug that if you're replacing these speakers. I will also have a speaker replacement for you if you need help finding it below in the description in that link I told you about with all of the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. And I guess the last thing that I'll mention about a speaker replacement like this, if you are having audio issues, if your sound quality is not consistent across different software, your speakers may be fine. It may be a system or a driver issue. So before coming in here to attempt a repair like this, make sure all your system drivers are up to date. I will have a video link below in the description showing you how to do that. Your Wi-Fi card is located up here near the top right of my screen under that black flap. You just peel that back and you'll expose your Wi-Fi card. It's held down by a single screw here. And once that's undone, you can pull it out of this port here. I will have all the specifications for the Wi-Fi card below in the description if you need them, but I will also include a replacement Wi-Fi card in the description in that link I told you about with all of the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. These antenna wire that come down here, those are just snaps. Those just snap directly up and off of that card. To get them back on, you do need to have them at a perfect 90-degree angle to snap them back on. And you are strong enough to damage it if it's not at the right angle and you force it. So just be patient. They're kind of a pain if you're not used to it, but you will be able to get those on. And I guess the last thing to mention about this kind of an operation, if you're here because you're not seeing any Wi-Fi options, you can't access any Wi-Fi networks, your Wi-Fi card could be bad and it may need to be replaced, but I would recommend troubleshooting first, making sure your system and drivers are updated. That could solve it without having to get in here and do a repair like this. I will have a video link below in the description. It'll help you troubleshoot that situation where you cannot access your Wi-Fi options. This is your fan right here. It's connected to your heatsink that runs over your CPU to this vent right here. Now the fan plugs into the motherboard right here. Be very, very careful with fan wires. They are probably the most fragile wires in a laptop. These can very easily come out of the fan or the plug if they're pulled on too hard. So definitely just use your fingernails or a pry tool to unplug that if you need to replace your fan. To get your heatsink up, you would have this screw here and then these 4 screws over your CPU. As a word of caution with this operation, I don't know why you're here, if you're here to just clean out your fan and clean out your vents, or if you want to reapply thermal paste here. But as a word of caution, if you are here to reapply thermal paste, or for any other reason you take up this heatsink and you expose the thermal paste to air, it does then need to be reapplied. Once it's been exposed to air, it's compromised, it will not work as well, and should be reapplied. I will have a video tutorial link below in the description. I'll also put the link above. It'll be a tutorial showing you how to fix an overheating laptop. And one of the things it will show you is how to clean off all the old thermal paste from both the CPU and the heatsink. You don't want to put new paste on top of old paste. And it will also show you the correct amount to put down. If you put down too much thermal paste, you could end up locking heat in rather than facilitating its transport out. So again, if you need that help, that video link will be below showing you how to deal with an overheating computer. Down here, this is your touchpad ribbon cable that comes here, plugs into the motherboard there. Just be cautious when working with these types of ribbon cables. You see them over here near the CMOS battery, here on the motherboard, over here. All these ribbon cable connectors, they're very fragile, and if you break them, your ribbon cable may not secure down correctly again. So just to quickly describe how to maneuver these clips, you have a black clip right there that's very fragile. It opens and shuts like a book cover. So it'll open from this bottom area and the hinges are on top. The way to operate this is to take a small, very, very flat pry tool, slide it from the bottom here underneath the black clip and gently pop it open like a book cover. Again, if you break that, it's very hard to find a replacement and you may not be able to find one. So be very careful not to break it. After removing these other components we described, you'll be able to access your motherboard if you need to replace that. I guess the last thing to mention is your LCD assembly. In order to get your LCD assembly out, you would run your antenna wire out from under here. You would unplug the wires, and then you would unscrew both hinge assemblies, the one here and the one here, to get your LCD assembly off. Most computer shops, like myself, prefer to replace entire LCD assemblies. It's easier, faster. There's less chance of breaking things than going into an LCD assembly. But if you're doing a DIY project, it can be much more cost effective to open an LCD assembly, replace the actual LCD in it. So if that's why you're here, I will have a video tutorial link below in the description. It'll be a general tutorial how to get into an LCD assembly, get your LCD out and replace it. That should get you into your computer. If you need help with your specific model, leave me a comment with the make and model computer you have, and I'll help you out from there. But that's the end of this video, how to get inside your ThinkPad T15 and access many of the internal components. Thanks again so much for watching. Please remember to like and share if this helped you out, if you think it can help someone else out. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoy DIY computer content like this, or if you just want to keep me on hand to answer any of your future computer questions. I do try to answer all questions throughout my channel at least a couple times a day. Also, feel free to check out the related links section below in the description. From time to time, I do try to add things in there that I think will help you with your general computer life, make it more productive, more enjoyable. So thanks again for watching, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on my next video.